What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the most important NYCFC talk show. That's right, it is time for the Dudes in Blue, episode number 165. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Joe Amato, and alongside me, as always,
Antonino. Dude, what's going on?
just another Monday night. We got a lot to unpack tonight. A couple games to go over. A very interesting week. The Premier League is back, which I'm very excited about, as you could tell by the jersey that I'm donning this evening. I just got to say that the Premier League came back at a very bad week
Yes.
for the Premier League to come back because you cannot help but compare.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. Really, really difficult. But
Maybe 80 years from now, we'll see a difference.
Unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, I mean, they got like a 100-year head start on us, so I mean, you'd expect it, but still, it's still incredible to watch. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. Thank you so much for joining the Facebook Live feed. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're listening on the pod, we appreciate you listening. Thanks for spending some time with us. We're going to get to all your comments. We're going to open up the phone lines pretty soon because we got a lot of stuff to unpack tonight. But before we do, make sure to give us the follow. That's right. We're at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dudes in Blue. That's how you can get a hold of us right there. So just hit us up on there. We're going to open up the phone lines pretty soon, like I said. But, dude, before we do that, before we jump into all the shenanigans that we have planned or not planned for this evening, when we open up the phone lines, guys, we've got these lovely Dudes in Blue wristbands here. Bracelets. What are we I still don't know what to call them.
I think we'll go with the rubber bracelets.
The rubber bracelets. So we got Dudes in Blue rubber bracelets. Now, these are proudly brought to you by our sponsor, Uncle Dom, of the episode. And I think he's in the broadcast tonight. So all you got to do to win one of these things, and I know some of you missed this last time, all you got to do, if you're going to call into the show, give a big shout out to Uncle Dom, and we'll send you a bracelet. That's it. So when we open up the phone lines and you want to call in and get out all that frustration about this crappy soccer team that had a really rough week despite winning, shout out Uncle Dom. Get a bracelet.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. Do a quick roll call before we unpack this monster.
Yeah, let's do it.
First comment is actually Uncle Dom. We got David checking in from Eastern PA. Felix saying, "Yer." Alex saying, "Yer." Lalo, what's going on? What's going on? Jamal checking in. Rodrigo's checking in as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Dude, where do we begin?
Let's go back to should we work backwards? Should we go backwards like from Sunday to Thursday, or should we just look ahead to next week?
Or should we just bypass what happened this past week and just completely move on? I think it's natural that we want to start with the Houston game from Thursday night at Yankee Stadium. I mean, let's dip back in time. I imagine we're going to spend a little bit less time talking about this because it was a little bit far away from the time that we're obviously recording this.
Sure.
But nevertheless, still an important game to talk about, mainly because Tommy McNamara graced us with his presence yet again.
Excellent. And he made us pay for it, too.
Unreal. Tommy Mac pick up the assist on the first goal. So, good for them.
I think he got the second. He might have gotten one on the second one, too.
It might have been a secondary assist because Manotas was assisted by Vera.
Yeah.
Great goal by Mauro Manotas, by the way.
That was a hammer.
Goal. Absolutely fantastic goal from outside the area. Anyway, bad performance, I'm going to say, for NYCFC. Despite coming away with the win, the score line does not represent the way things turned out in that match when you looked at it from a 90-minute standpoint.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No. I told my dad as we were leaving, I said, this is the only team that could win a game with a 93rd minute, winner, and I could still be completely disgusted leaving the stadium. Again, ugly games need to be won. That's totally fine, but it's just getting into that position where you're up a man for almost an hour. And you lose the lead, so you're playing from behind, and then you're forced to run around for the last 10 minutes of the match. And luckily for us that, Tati got it done along with Maxi and Keaton Parks, but you shouldn't be in that position. Great teams that challenge for the cup should not get themselves in that position. That game should have had a stranglehold on it, and we should have been well ahead. It's games like that you want to see a dominating performance to know that your team has the goods. I feel like playing a man up kind of it doesn't hurt us, but it does hurt us in a way because you don't know if you're playing well, if you've got the form going, or are you playing well because you have a man advantage. Now, when you've won, 5 or 6 games in a row, and then you're playing a team that gets a red, it's one thing. But when you're kind of flip flopping between wins and losses back and forth, and you're not really playing too well, and the 3 out of your last 4 games, you've got guys on red cards. Are you playing well in those games, or are you just playing well because you are up a man? So it's games like this that show you that, maybe you're not playing that well, and maybe your form is still a little lacking, but, the results are kind of hiding it because you've been up a man.
For an hour, by the way. Up a man for an hour. At home, up a man for an hour. And it's a 1-1 game. And we go down a goal. Not only does the team not pounce on a wounded animal, but they give up the goal. And if it wasn't for Tati Castellanos coming in with an 83rd minute and a 93rd minute goal, we would have dropped points against a team that's below the line, who's down a man, at home. It's unreal. Now, I understand this was the second of 3 games in 8 days. I don't care. Given the rest of the circumstances, we played a different squad. People were fresh. People were rested. You go up a man in the 29th minute. You pounce. Yeah. This is your home turf. And like you said, good teams, great teams will do that. We're not a great team right now. We're not. No. We are in the stretch of August where I've said year after year after year, this is the time where we drop it. And when we have 7 games this month and still a couple of games in hand, I tweeted out that games in hand mean absolute jack poop. I really want to say it, dude. Really want to say it.
If you put them together, is it really a bad word?
Maybe. I don't know. But they don't mean anything unless you win them. They mean nothing unless you win them.
Yeah, so you gotta win the games.
Felix is saying an ugly W is still a W, but an ugly W against Philly is a W. An ugly win against Atlanta is a good W. An ugly win against an ugly team is not a good win. No offense, Tommy. You're beautiful.
That's ugly.
Right? I mean, dude, come on.
There's a whole lot of ugly. No, I agree with you. I understand. Listen, there are going to be games that you have to win ugly, and that's fine. But given the circumstances, that should not have been one of them. That should not have been one of them. I could see if you're up 2-1 against a formidable opponent that's above the line, they come back and they score a late one and they tie it up, and then you come back and get a goal. And yeah, it's not pretty, but you get the job done. The job should have been done beforehand. I understand that it's multiple games in a week, but when you go up a man, it's no excuse, especially to a team that's not playing well, that has an atrocious road record, not to mention. I was really frustrated. Again, I think you tweeted, you were happy with the end result, but frustrated by the journey that it took to get there.
Yes.
And I think that's totally fair. And again, we're lucky that we were on the winning end of that, because if we were on the losing end of that, I would have lost.
Would have been a lot worse.
Mind. I would have went bananas. But it just shows you that, listen, Maxi coming on made a huge difference from the minute he stepped on the field. Keaton Parks is a valuable asset playing in the final third. And Tati, when he plays in the middle, he can do great things. So again, I think you saw some good things against Houston, but games like that are just they're as fun as they are. It's really painful, getting through it.
It was very difficult, very very difficult to watch. I'm going to try to pull up some of the stats here, but I mean, dude, listen, we took 27 shots.
It's a lot of shots.
27 shots. We put 9 on target.
That's pretty decent.
Okay.
I think when you put 9 on target We get 3 went in, which is a pretty good
Okay,
ratio
but dude, to their 7, to their 2 on target that both wound up going in.
going in. Don't we feel like that happens every once in a while? Like where I feel like we'll put that many shots on, and they'll put like 2 on, and they'll always go in, like 100% shot on goal rating, and
We
I
need
don't
Tajiri Shradi back because Tajiri Shradi has like a 95% shot to goal ratio.
He was having a fantastic time last year. But it looks like he may need ankle surgery. As far as Dome was saying earlier in the week, so I don't know how much truth that is and how much testing's been undergone. But if he's out, I mean, that's just a lot of creativity and shot power and just sheer attacking force taken away from the right hand side of the pitch. Which listen, it is valuable down the stretch when, especially when you got so many games to be played.
Lot of games. We're into, what are we? We're a couple of weeks into almost a couple of weeks into August, and we're coming in with a loss, a win, and a loss.
So 3 points
out of a possible 9.
Yeah.
Sorry, getting there. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I mean, I don't know how much more time we want to spend on the Houston game. I think I think the Atlanta game was a bigger game, but I think the talking points need to be pointed out that Maxi Morales was the key to making a success happen on Thursday night. But when you transition to yesterday, he was nowhere to be found. Nobody was. On a bigger field where you've got relatively decent rest. He didn't play the full 90 minutes on Thursday. You expected a lot more from this team yesterday, and when you play against teams like Atlanta, I don't know where this is kind of like a quick transition here into yesterday, but when you play against teams like Atlanta and you are not allowed to play your game. We were not allowed to have the ball. They were on us. They played us the way Red Bulls used to play us. That's how they played us. And we were not able to get comfortable. We were not able to have possession. We were not able to even get, let alone, not even get the ball into the final third, let alone create enough chances to muster up anything serious. They didn't let us play our game. And when Dome has that one look and we don't get to play it, we get absolutely annihilated. And when I say annihilated, obviously not on the score line, but in every other line, we were annihilated.
That game could have been and should have been far worse than what it was.
Where do you want to start with this one, dude? Because
let's go let's go with the lineup first of all, because I think the lineup was a little suspect for the game that's being played, especially with the schedule the way it is and them having a week of rest now, going into playing a Cincinnati team that we dominated at home last time we played them. So I'm gonna just pull up the. You
can't put too much blame on Shawn Johnson. Made a couple of big saves.
Blame because he kept that game where it was. Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean I can't even fault him for the penalty because I mean that's just a crapshoot when you talk about it. But I mean without him, that game is it's ridiculously one-sided and it's not even close. By far one of the best games that he's had. I just think, like Dome had mentioned in his post game, that he wants Shawn Johnson and the center backs to communicate a little bit more, which is fine. I thought the defensive positioning this game was really, really poor. I just felt like all eyes were constantly on the ball and no one knew where any attacking player was. Martinez got behind them far too easily, far too many times. Within the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, I think he did it twice. Julian Gressel had so much room, he could have friggin' built a house.
That was honestly, of all of this, that was probably my biggest problem. How many times did Matarrita let that same exact cross come in? And every single time that cross came in from that right side from Gressel, they had an opportunity. The game could have been 1-0. The game could have been 2-0 in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah. They just gave him way too much room. Didn't give him enough respect, in my opinion. And then, listen, I'm not going to bash Dome too much on this one. I think this one's on the guys that are on the field. he told them to play their game. You got to stand up to them. You got to play through the press, which we can do, and we do have the ability to counter. And we've seen it because we've countered with some really, really pretty goals. You don't have to do it constantly, but you do have to be able to do it occasionally. So you can handle the press a little bit, but you need possession. We gave away the ball in the middle of the field way, way, way too much. First touch was atrocious for almost everybody. I mean, they couldn't stop the ball, within 2 feet of their bodies. The ball kept bouncing around everywhere. And then you're playing balls over the top constantly. You're going against what your coach told you to do. I think Alex Ring had 14 long balls that were missed. I mean, at what point do you realize that this is not, we can't play like this? I think it really, to me, looked like they didn't belong on the field yesterday. If it had not been for Shawn Johnson, this game would have been absolutely horrendous. And I don't want to mask the fact that we scored a goal. The scoreline really helps us a lot in this one because it was really, really, really bad game. And I really don't want to hear excuses anymore. I don't want to hear you turned around and you played. Yeah, we know you played, and they were a little bit fresher, but you didn't even. It didn't even look like we were doing what we were supposed to do.
Nope.
You didn't follow the coach's directions. You did what you wanted to do. Maxime Chanot looked absolutely lost.
James Sands had a rough game.
Sands had a rough game. And listen, I'm not going to fault him either because, it's a kid. And he's learning, and he hasn't really played in a game of this magnitude yet where, you're dealing with these guys on a constant basis. On the penalty, the takedown in the box, it's a clear penalty, but he's put in that situation because Chanot, goes down looking for a call rather than sticking with the play. And I feel like we did that a lot this game. I feel like a lot of times we go with their hands up, we're stopping play. Like that one play with the push-off, and the headed the goal that wasn't counted for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Shawn Johnson didn't even move. He was just chilling there and watched the ball go right in. I understand there's a push there, but if the referee doesn't see it your way, you just gave a goal away. So you really got to play to the whistle. I mean, there's just so much wrong that happened with this game. I don't know. I really don't know. And I mean, for me, I think the biggest problem was how do you not start Hebert? How do you not put him in there? The guy's the best goal scorer. This is a team that you can leapfrog if you win. I think you got to put more weight in some of these games going forward where, listen, I know you're playing Red Bull and all, but coming up, you got to be able to pick out the games where, the standings, winning games and jumping people in standings makes a difference, and resting guys on rotation the right way. I would have rested him against Houston, if anything.
Yeah.
And have played Tati the whole time, So, and Parks as well. I think the rotation should have been different. I think that is on Domet. But other than that, when you put the guys out there, those guys have played plenty of minutes. They know how to play. They chose not to do it. They played scared, and they really didn't belong on the field.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Just very disappointing. I mean, just very not even flat. Like, just couldn't do anything. And sure enough, Hebert comes on, winds up scoring a goal. Ultimately not being enough, but. Yeah, I mean, put the dude in. Like, the dude's job is to score goals. Matriza has proven that he can't do that or assist for too many opportunities. Tati Castellanos is a great, is a goal scorer. I mean, we've seen that from him. But Hebert's your guy. He's been your most consistent goal scorer, and you leave him off the starting 11. Like you texted me during the game, dude. They got a week off after this.
Yeah, they have a week off. So the rotation should have really happened against Houston, a lesser opponent.
Well, listen, we proved that we had a rough time with that game with most of our starters. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, Tati missed the sitter. That was bad. I think that would have changed the game a little bit. Changed the complexion a lot, actually. But other than that, just couldn't get anything going. And it just looked like they were running into walls constantly. It looked like they were just constantly hitting the walls. They did a good job of marking. And taking Maxi really out of the equation. And that's another issue with this team. What do you do in that instance? You cannot just rely on one person and remove that player, and all of a sudden the team just falls apart and can't do anything.
We talked about this last week. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I don't know how they go about changing this, because I mean, games like this really can't happen coming down the stretch. Earlier in the season, when you're trying to find your bearings, that's one thing. But now you kind of should have all this stuff worked out already. The pieces that you interchange should all be working properly. And it's just not working right now.
No, not at all. Dude, I think it's a good time to open up the phone lines here. Remember, we're going to open up the lines, and if you want a bracelet, rubber bracelet, Dudes in Blue rubber bracelet, proudly brought to you by Uncle Dom, give a shout out to Uncle Dom when you call in if you got something on your mind. We're going to open up the lines now, 646-535-7982. Tell us what's on your mind about the Atlanta match, about the Houston match. We're kind of throwing them all into one big whole pile of crap that we can talk about, because this is kind of one long week for NYCFC at the beginning of what could be a very, very long month and long stretch into the remainder of the season. Really, really difficult. Angel on Facebook says, we've always been a one-man team, unfortunately. Dude, I tweeted out that NYCFC without Maxi Morales is worse than NYCFC was without David Villa, and it's absolutely terrifying. We got a call coming in, dude.
What we got?
Hey, what's going on? You're on with the Dudes in Blue. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, Alex from New York.
Alex, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man?
So what's on your mind?
I want to challenge you guys on something, because I agree with you that both of these games, the Houston game and the Atlanta game, were a little rough for different reasons. But I do want to challenge that I think even with playing a subpar game in Atlanta especially, that we still had an opportunity at least to get a result, if not a win. We had the chances, they just weren't finished. And I think it's interesting that even though we played kind of terrible and definitely didn't play our game in Atlanta, that we still had the opportunity to come away with the result. And I think that that's at least worth mentioning.
I'm going to challenge you on that by saying that they could have easily put 5 or 6 goals in the net, where we could have done the same thing. You could tell the story the other way around just as well. So for me, it's like, listen, if we would have had those type of scoring chances, then yeah, it's a different story. But these guys, I mean, they were biting at chomping at the bit constantly, minute after minute after minute. We didn't have it. We had maybe 100%. 2 or 3 chances.
I do agree. I think that when you go into Atlanta, especially because of how difficult that environment is to play in with the 55, 60,000 fans that they get per game there, that I think in general the expectation is that you're going to have to finish the chances that you get. Obviously, Atlanta's going to create a lot of chances. Matarrita had probably one of the worst games I've ever seen from him. I also think that Ring probably had one of the worst games I've ever seen from him as well.
Yeah, I agree.
But when you go to Atlanta and you don't finish your chances, no matter what happens, no matter how many goal opportunities they have, if you don't finish your chances on the other side between Matriza and Tati, that you're definitely going to lose. And I think that in the event that we had finished our chances, which I think were arguably better than Atlanta's chances in the first half, not that they had less than us, but that we had better chances, that you're going to lose that game. And I think that there is an opportunity to say here, not only did we drop points, but we had a chance to take them as well, even though we played not a good game and our defense was asleep.
But I mean, they out created us. I mean, like by a mile. I mean, every time they went up in our third, it was a chance for Atlanta, where it was not the same for us. And I think I think you're right. I mean, the finishing needs to be better with the chances that we get. But how long do we have to say that? How many times do we have 25, 30 shot games where we score a goal?
I think it's also interesting because there are not a lot of teams in the MLS that are going to take us off our game and stop us from dominating possession and ultimately dominating the chances, right? I think there are probably 2 in all of MLS that I can really think of that do it on a consistent basis, which are Atlanta and the Red Bulls, right? Where when we play them at home, we usually still manage to control the game. But as soon as we go to Red Bull Arena or as soon as we go to the Benz, that we cannot play our game against them anymore. And I don't know if that means that for those specific teams we have to change something tactically I think that the player selection was not great. Again, what you guys were saying about not starting Abear in probably the biggest game of the season, as well as Keaton Parks to get that progressive passing that we desperately needed.
Not to cut you off, Alec, but
Yeah.
you talk about Atlanta and you talk about Red Bull, two teams that there's a really good chance that we're going to go up against them in a one-off playoff game.
I agree with you.
So
that's why I think it's so important that we need to host them.
It is, but you can't bet on that when you just can't. I mean, it's just And if you don't look, LAFC has no problem everywhere they go scoring 3, 4, 5 goals, coming away with results. True. They have no problem doing that. Good teams win anywhere. Great teams win anywhere. Atlanta United doesn't have a problem winning games anymore, no matter where they are. LAFC doesn't have a problem winning games where they are. So for us, we could be that great team, but we just have not shown it. And then I hate to cut you off, but we got to jump. I want to get to another call. Good. But Alec, we appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, go Blue.
Good call.
Yeah, I mean,
good call. Phone line's open, by the way, dude. 646-535-7982.
To that point, I can understand you want to try something different. My issue with that is if you do not have that something different mastered, you are not playing up to your full potential. You are putting out a subpar style of play that can end up hurting you. You have to master and own your style of play and play smash mouth in your face with the other team doing that.
Yeah.
If you have two styles where you're very good at both of them, it's a different story.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on? You're on with the Dudes in Blue. What is your name? Where are you from?
Dudes in Blue, Shingayo. Is this Dudes in Blue?
Yes.
Hey, surprise. This is Roddy from Seoul, South Korea.
Dude! What is up?
How y'all doing?
Oh, fantastic, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I finally got to join you guys on a call. Classes ended last week, so I have a 3-week break until I start my second session.
How are things in the future? Because aren't you like 3 days ahead of us now?
It's 9:27 in the morning right now on Tuesday morning, so everything is okay. Yeah.
Breakfast with the Dudes in Blue. I like that.
Well, listen. What's your take on this week, dude? It's been a little bit of a rough week, despite coming away with at least one win.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I mean, I'm trying to look at all 3 games in total. I know you had already talked about the RSL game last week, but And I'm looking in the mind. I'm looking through the eyes of Dome in this case, because if you look at what he said against RSL, you look at what he said against Atlanta yesterday for you guys. It was early in the morning for me. Monday, 4 o'clock a.m. kickoff for me here. It was very frustrating to hear Dome say that the team wasn't listening to him. The team wasn't responding to what he was saying.
Point.
And if you fail to show up in the big games, like you look at the Red Bull game, you look at Atlanta, you fail to show up in these big games. How do you expect to perform in the playoffs? Yes, the format has changed. Now it's a one-off. It's no longer 2 legs. But what if we don't do that well in the season and we end up having to go to these stadiums? It's starting to look bleak, So, I mean, it's really frustrating that, a lot of players during the Atlanta game, didn't really have a good game. You look at Chanel, you look at and Sands, rarely has a bad game, but, he had to give up that penalty. Ring was a little off. Ofori had a lot of really bad touches, and there was no, in my opinion, there was no passion. There was no bite, and we had the players that had bite. It's just a matter of where was that on the big stage, and that didn't show up.
Well, look, this is the big stage, okay? The games against Atlanta, the games against Red Bull, like I mentioned in the previous caller, this is what the playoffs are most likely going to look like. And you don't have a home and an away to make a statement. You don't have a home and an away to try to sneak into the next round. You've got a one and done. And if throughout the entire season, we got another game coming up against Red Bull pretty soon. If we have a tough time getting results against these teams that we're likely going to face in the playoffs in the regular season, what makes us think that we're going to be able to topple them when playoff time comes around?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be very, like it's anxious, essentially. It's just really, and I think the players are kind of feeling this too, because it's like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We keep playing long ball, and it's kind of like when I heard Dome say stop playing long ball, it came to my mind a conversation I had a long time ago. I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was somewhere in school where I think the instructor told me, do you use a wrench every time you need to fix something, or do you use a screwdriver every time you fix something? A wrench wouldn't fix something that you need a Phillips screwdriver for, or a screwdriver wouldn't fix something you need a wrench for. You have to be able to adapt to something. You have to be able to adapt to the game in live time. And if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and it's not working, what is that called? Insanity. So we're trying not to be insane. We're trying not to come off as scared. You have to try and calm down, and I didn't see that at all during Atlanta. Especially in the first half, where it was just constantly long ball after long ball after long ball, and nothing came out of it. And they kept trying to do it, nothing came out of it, and then we get the result that we get.
Yeah, no, I agree. Dude, you got anything for Roddy? But I hate to cut you off, Roddy, and cut it, but I have a couple of the calls coming through, man.
Listen, I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate it. And I think you underestimate the fact that some of us can actually fix a lot of things with a wrench or a screwdriver or duct tape, for that matter. I mean, I've used a wrench as plenty of other things besides a wrench. So, but yeah, no, I totally agree. I think if something's not working and you constantly keep trying it without getting, getting closer and closer to having it work, when it's constant long ball, that's not finding the target, or the ball's being given away, you've got to stop and you've got to do something. And honestly, when this week started, with the standings the way they were, with the wins that we had and the points and the games in hand, this team had no reason to not be confident at all. This team has that. They have that swagger. They've got that tenor home ring feistiness where they get in people's faces. Anytime Ring or Tenor Home takes a free kick and someone comes up to them, they're always shoving people out of the way. You've got to be more like that. You've got to be more aggressive. You've got to want it more. You've got to be, and there's no reason not to want it. I mean, listen, you win, and it's huge, especially if you win these big games. It gives bragging rights, and it just makes you feel so much better as a player going forward, knowing that, listen, we beat them, we can beat anybody. Now, after that game, you got to make sure, like, oh crap, we better not lose this next game in Cincinnati, because we're gonna look terrible. So I agree, and we thank you again, Roddy, very much, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, man.
All right, be good.
We got time for one more call. I know Felix was trying to get in. Felix from the Bronx trying to get in on the line. 646-535.
Keep the
7982. Got to keep the streak alive, man. The phone line's open for you, Felix. We're waiting for you, buddy. Dude, Roddy Russell, man. Shout out to Roddy, all the way from Korea, man. Dude, that's awesome. That might be the farthest Dudes in Blue listener we've reached.
Yeah.
We're big in Korea, apparently.
Should have asked him for the lotto numbers.
I know, seriously. And here, right on cue, it's Felix from the Bronx calling in. Felix, what's up?
Yeah.
Felix. What's going on?
Oh, man, do you really want to know what's going on right now?
I mean,
look, we just spent the last...
called in, right?
Keep it PG.
We spent 35 minutes
PG.
doing it, but I'll spend a few more.
Okay, man. I mean, listen, this really got to me, man, and I really have to agree with you guys. I mean, if we can't beat the big teams, I mean, if we can't beat the Atlanta Uniteds out there, we can't beat the Red Bulls out there. You know, I mean, if we can't beat the LAFCs out there, I mean, we're gonna have a pretty tough time if we're trying to get that silverware. You know what I mean? So, I really feel yesterday, man, it was just tough to watch, man. I'm thinking to myself, there's no imagination out there. There's no spark out there. You know, I mean, usually these guys, either the boys will run out with some spark, some. You know, it's something, that winning edge. I didn't see it at all last night, and yesterday afternoon. So I feel like our passing was not effective at all. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. It's like, something, we're looking for the call way too much. You know, and we kind of got caught out there against the Red Bulls doing the same thing. But we were doing this all match, even on the disallowed goal, even on Josef Martinez's first goal. I mean, we're looking for the call the entire game. No, play the freaking game already. You know, and it gets really frustrating to watch because of the fact that, although we can't get it together for about 80 minutes until Hebert puts one in, and why the heck wasn't Hebert starting this game? This is a high stakes game. I'm sorry, I want my striker out there. I want my goal scorer out there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Listen, I said the rotation, the rotation, and the guys that were fresher before should have played in Houston and given the big guns a rest for this game. This game should have been max firepower at every position possible to get points. Exactly. Because listen, if you win, you leapfrog them, and all of a sudden you're sitting in second place with 2 or 3 games in hand against Philly, and you're sitting pretty, and you've just shown the league that you put the league on notice. Listen, we just whooped that ass in Atlanta. We're coming for everybody else. But instead, we're running around with our tail between our legs.
Yeah, you can't. Great teams don't let other teams mess with the way that they play. Again, I hate to compare us to other teams or to compare to other teams, but you gotta look at teams that are winning and having success, and it's the ones that don't get shaken by big opponents. We get shaken. We get shook by big opponents. That is a problem.
We haven't really won a big game. We really haven't won a really big game. I mean, you're talking about the play-in game or the one-game playoff against Philly. That was pretty much it. I mean, you've beaten Red Bull, but those are like regular season. They're big to us. But in terms of standings, you could lose, all 2 or 3. There'll be 2 of them shortly. But you could lose 3 derbies in a season and still finish ahead of them. We did a couple times.
Yeah.
So to be fair, you can't be shaken by these guys. You've got to be confident. And again, with the string of games these guys have had, they really had no reason not to be confident against this team. They should have gone into Atlanta looking for it to be fun. A great challenge for them, and say, all right, we're going to try our best to do this. And from the opening minute, once they got that one chance that Martinez kind of miffed and put it wide, I think it was all downhill from there. They just were like, oh boy, we were not ready for what's going to happen, and it showed.
Felix, man, we got to let you jump because we got to move on to Dude of the Week before we wrap this show up. But we really do appreciate your call, man.
So I think if I'm going to put a vote in for Dude of the Week, it has to be Jono. Jono kept us in this one, and I think that he's the only guy that was out there that deserved to even get that mention for Dude of the Week. But gentlemen, always a great time. Love both of you. Love my Third Rail Nation, my Dudes in Blue Nation. Love all you guys, man. Take care.
You're the man, Felix. See you later.
Good, Felix.
Take care, buddy.
Love Felix from the Bronx. Dude of the Week. Who you got? Put those comments in. Let's do it. I'm going for Shawn Johnson. I mean, you could make the case for Tati Castellanos for literally winning the game for us on Thursday night. But I kind of agree with Felix on this one. Kind of kept us in the game. But at the same time, he's supposed to, so I understand that too. You know what I mean?
So did he make 7 saves?
Was it that?
Did I see that right? He's six parried saves.
7.
Yeah, and 5 from inside the box.
All right.
I mean,
everybody's voting for Johnson in the comments, by the way.
Yeah,
easiest one yet.
I think so. Just again, even though the fact that they lost this game, really did come up big, and ultimately, when you look at it, he gave us a chance to win in a game where really it could have been unwinnable had he not been there, had not someone made the stops. So I'm good. I'm good with Johnson. Listen, only finished behind Martinez there, and Martinez kind of, he does what he does. That's just the. I don't think Martinez could ever get due to the week after the first week because
I
you've
know.
come to expect a guy scoring a goal a game, which is absolutely ridiculous.
He broke the MLS record for most consistent goals scored in games with 10 games, which he held prior to that. Well, I think he was actually tied with Diego Valeri for 9 games.
Yes.
And broke that yesterday with 2 goals against NYCFC. So I could understand that. But Shawn Johnson, he gets due to the week. Yeah. Congratulations, buddy.
We talk about how Josef Martinez probably wasn't at 100% and still looked like he could kill half the league.
Yep.
Like, the dude on one leg is more dangerous than 90% of the power.
And great players do.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I'll tell you what, him signing a long-term deal with Atlanta, phenomenal, not just for Atlanta, but phenomenal for the league. It's gonna get more eyeballs here. A guy like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Who do we have on our roster that brings that kind of clout, that kind of energy, that kind of fear? You could understand Hebert's starting to build on that because of his goal scoring record, but
here's the thing, though. That's good that you mentioned that because you could say that and you get the goals, but it's not just the goals; it's the demeanor in which the goals are scored.
The dude's got swagger.
The dude's got it, and he's fun to get behind, and he's fun to follow. Hebert is great. Don't get me wrong. I think he's just a little more quiet.
Yeah.
And personality. Now he's awesome in the clubhouse. I mean, he is absolutely fantastic. He's a great guy, always smiling, always positive. Yep. And I will take that 10 days out of the week, which you can't do, obviously. But
I'm putting it up.
But when it's Fergus. But I mean, when you're talking about a guy who's got that shark, those teeth that they're ready to bite and attack and constantly get after it every single game, and do it in a way where he can bring the crowd with him. He's really, really, really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Until he's playing your team, then he's not so fun to watch.
Not at all. I wish he was in the Western Conference because.
I wish he was playing in a different league.
Yeah, maybe. Pretty soon.
Would be helpful.
Pretty soon. It was a good NYCFC conversation. But speaking of other leagues, dude, I want to just touch a little bit on the Premier League because it's back, and I like the Premier League, and I like European soccer. So I just want to get your take. Who's going to win the league? Actually, can you give me your top 4 and put in the comments? I want to know your top 4 for the Premier League. Premier League, however you say it. It's the Premier League. Top 4. Who we got?
Do you want them in order?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Like first, second, third, fourth. Who you got?
So I think you're going to end up. I think you might end up with. I think Man City's going to be 1. I just think that they've got the winning formula. They're like the Patriots. Like, it doesn't matter what players are on the team. As long as you got the 1 or 2 solid guys and the coaching that's there, they're going to end up winning it.
Dude, they have 2 A squads. They have 2 A squads. The depth on that squad. Dude, they sat. Aguero didn't start. Bernardo Silva didn't start. João Cancelo didn't start. Gundogan didn't start. Huh?
My car didn't start.
It's unbelievable. All right, so that's number 1. Who you got for 2, 3, and 4?
And João Cancelo is a great pickup for them. I mean,
dude, way better deal for them than it was for Juventus.
Yeah, I would agree, which kind of sucks for us. But I think 2, Liverpool. I think they're just going to bring it this year. You got Virgil van Dijk coming back as Defender of the Year. Was he Player of the Year too, or
I think it was the Premier League Player of the Year. I believe. Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have a lot
Liverpool
of fun
too?
Challenge. Yeah. And here is where it starts to get interesting. I think United might be able to get to 3rd. I don't know. Again, they're going to have competition to get there, but when you see the way they were able to win this weekend, you know that they have the ability, whether they can stay healthy and and keep rolling is one thing. But I think they might surprise a couple people and push up to number 3, and then number 4 is the tough one. Number 4 is a tough one, and I think I want to say Tottenham is going to. I think they're going to be up there. I don't think Frank Lampard's Chelsea right now, with the loss of David Luiz
and being able to sign nobody.
Yeah, minus Pulisic, but I think he's just too new. I know he knows the league and how it's played. I don't know if he knows how it's managed. I'm sure he does, but as far as getting it across to your players and finding a winning recipe, I think for a first-year coach is always difficult. And I think Arsenal's going to surprise a couple people too and end up being up there just because they've got great talent as well. So it's gonna be fun. I think the Premier League is one of the most fun leagues just because you have all those great teams.
So much drama.
Jockeying, it's really dramatic, and they're jockeying for position constantly. Whereas La Liga is really, it's really not like that. It's really like it's between like three teams usually.
Race.
Time, even Italy, as of late, it's been pretty much a 3-headed race. And it's been like that for a while. Just the 3 teams have been changing every.
All right, so you got City, Liverpool, United, and Spurs.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that.
I agree with you on the 1 and 2. City taking it again. I think Pep putting definitely a bigger emphasis on Champions League this year. So I say get rid of the League Cup, the FA Cup. You can throw those out the window. He's got enough of those already. And I think Champions League is going to be the target for him. That's going to be his marker for success. I think they'll win the league again. Just how deep this team is, it's just unbelievable. Liverpool, I think, is just going to be right behind him. It's going to be a 2-horse race, but I think ultimately City's going to wind up getting it again. And I think third, I think you're going to see Spurs in third. And I'm going to put Arsenal at fourth.
Okay.
Because I don't see United under Ole Gunnar being as impactful. They played a Chelsea squad that was very young. They played a Chelsea squad that was under a very young, fresh coach. So I try not to put too much emphasis on that one game, even though it was an absolute thrashing. So there you have it. You've got City, Liverpool, Spurs, and Arsenal coming at the top there. It's just exciting. I love it. It's freaking it's the best. It also marks the season. Huh?
We should write this down. That's the idea we can compare.
I know. Yeah, we got to do that. Some of the comments here. This was funny. Alex said, "Man City, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Man City's B team." That was Jose Mourinho's joke. He cannot take claim for that, but nevertheless, it is what it is. It is what it is. Funny. This has been fun. We appreciate all the callers. We appreciate all your comments. Thank you guys for listening on the pod that are listening there. Thanks for watching on YouTube, wherever you're consuming the Dudes in Blue. We're Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dudes in Blue. That is how you get a hold of us right there. Leave us that review on Facebook and iTunes if you are watching the show. We're going to be back on Monday night, dude, for episode 166. What else is there? Cincinnati, Saturday. Got to win that game.
Yeah.
Got to win that game.
Yeah. And I think it's time, again, for this team to come out with a dominating performance to show us that they still got it. Because it's been a while since we saw a game where we've had, chance after chance, but been able to score goal after goal. I really want to see it again. I want to know this team is awake. I want to know they're there. I want to know they're ready. And now is a good time as ever to get it done.
There you go. Guys, this has been episode 165. We really love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you guys next week. But until then, let's come back from Cincinnati with 3 points and stay blue.
Blue.